Hello, welcome back to another sketchbook video. It has been a while. These drawings on the left are just some sketches that I did while I was working at the market, trying to sell some stuff for our small business. So, I actually did not like this page that I ended up doing in this video, and I considered not sharing it. Actually, I think I was kind of having just a crummy time in general, and so by the time I finished it, I was feeling pretty low. And generally, messing up a drawing, messing up a page or whatever, just is what it is, doesn't bother me that much. It's, a collection of issues that it's not generally going to repeat itself, so you can just try again. You'll get a better result, usually, and it's not, I don't know, it's not really a problem. It just happens sometimes. Maybe you weren't warmed up, whatever. But this time, it's like I took it personally. It was pretty rough, so I didn't really know what I was going to do because I was going to be working pretty much every day for the next week. And yeah, maybe have like one day off and back to it. So yeah, I was pretty frustrated. And yeah. And I spent so much time on it just for it to end up crummy. So it was very frustrating. But, I looked at it later on, and although I don't consider it to be a good sketch, even for my sketchbook, I just really did not enjoy it. I don't know, I also didn't think that it was quite as bad as I was making it out to be, like it was the failing of my life. So I just decided I was going to edit it and post it anyway. And, I had done some like other things. I had done some some videos using my phone and testing that out. So I thought, oh yeah, I could just, use that in lieu of this. But no, I gave in. So I'll put those aside and maybe use them for something else at some point and just go ahead with this. For the record, I think the more dynamic poses that I did on this while thumbnailing were just, way better. And I probably should have picked one of those. But I didn't, so this is what we end up with. I did end up having some like little faulty spots in my paper. But, the fault of the drawing not being great was definitely on me, not the paper. It wasn't reacting so badly to ink that I can really blame it for anything, so yeah, just to be fair. Started out as usual, just kind of laying it in. That got really crooked. So yeah, the idea was, I'd been writing on one of my stories, and I have one that has this really big thing going with darkness. And I'm not going to give too much away, but I kept thinking about some sort of Mothman that was holding on to this lantern or this internal light, and I really wanted to make something out of it. And maybe I just put a little too much on myself for this, especially having gone from being able to draw a lot more to hardly any once again. So yeah, that was kind of the idea, just this concept of a moth and his internal light, and it pushing back this darkness for himself. I also kind of considered putting some eyes or hands or something pushing in from the background, like other moth people were, kind of coming in to be with that light. But I didn't do that either, and I think that was kind of pure laziness on my part. So yeah, I wanted kind of these not necessarily old-timey clothes, but something a little dated, and that's what I went with. I took it off of the desk and just kind of did some sketching, or not some sketching, but some fixing on the sketch, because it keeps frustrating me that I make things so wonky. So So yeah, that's why I just ended up doing a little bit of a skip and then running my eraser over the top of it. This pen is very thin, but considering the size of this picture, it still felt a little bit too thick for what I wanted. But that's okay. Obviously, after you go through the whole picture, it kind of starts to set and just is what it is. I don't know why I got the idea for one of these little things. What I actually wanted to do was make that burning. I wanted it to be, you know, kind of getting eaten up, and I just wasn't sure how I was going to manage it, so I made it just the way that it was. Yeah, definitely needed a lot more thought in this one. There are things that you can get away with when you're a little bit more in practice, or when you get like kind of lucky. But yeah, that wasn't me that day. And I mean, I was feeling bad. I was absolutely mentally bashing myself over this picture. It was pretty insane, but yeah, I hadn't done that in such a long time, like felt that way. So I'm sure it was kind of a mix of, you know, some regular life feelings and yeah, just it not turning out quite the way that I wanted brought that out a little too strongly. And then I had poor hand control that day. Like, I kept bumping my hand into stuff all day and knocking things down. I felt like I couldn't speak properly. It was very annoying. Probably just being a bit exhausted did not help. So, yeah, I don't know. It was fine. I mean, I don't want this whole video to just be me complaining. That's not really my intention. More like, yeah, this was rough for me. I was struggling a lot. A really lot. Not just with the picture, but internally I was clearly having some problems, or I wouldn't have felt things as intensely as I did. But it's fine. Like I said, I don't hate it as much now. It's just having some time. Been like super stressed out, so just is what it is. I really like watching that bleed, and it annoys me that I did not let it just kind of do its own thing, because it would have looked so nice. But I was having some issues with part of the paper, and I just gave in and started messing with it, and I just overdid it. Very much overdid it. Although the wings turned out kind of like weirdly cool for some reason by the end. I do end up using some gouache, just some white gouache that I've had for like a jillion years. Admittedly, I thought that white gouache was the only gouache at the time. So things have definitely changed since then. Yeah, I wanted that like dusty moth wing look. I always thought it was super cool when I was a kid. That they're fuzzy. Yeah, just dabbing it on. Ink is very, very fun. I still would like to do something with watercolor in here, but it does lose its vibrancy pretty quickly, and as someone who mixes light washes, like very, very light washes, I would have to push myself to use much brighter, more saturated colors, so didn't really want to struggle with that. I had to go let that dry for a little bit because I had to help my sister with something. She's working in the background because we had some orders and things that we had to put together between our other jobs. Admittedly, she handles most of that stuff on her own, and I'm not very helpful, so... I just wanted to draw some interesting boots. I thought it kind of matched the high pants and the type of shirt I had given him. Trousers do end up kind of weird, but I mean, it's done now. Yep, I really like doing that, like, gradation between the different planes. So I really like doing that dark above the knee and then just kind of like pulling it up along the thigh to show the brightness being, you know, up above on that muscle. If I explain that correctly at all. Yeah, I was super glad that I ended up having my colored pencils hanging around because I definitely needed their help. Also, if you hear noise, there's just nothing I can do about it at this point. I've been trying to make this voiceover all day, and every single time I start it, something happens and I have to stop, and it's been just a whole thing. Very frustrating. Very, very frustrating. But I'm doing it now. I'm doing it now. Oh man, I was looking at my leg earlier. Just a weird whatever thing. I was looking at my leg earlier, and I have all of these little bruises and bumps because one of my jobs, I'm like using a weed whacker for like 8 hours a day. So we kept going to do our usual groundskeeping job, okay? My sister and I, she usually rides on this big ride-along mower and handles that, and I do pretty much all of the weed whacking as long as I, can fit it in. And so that, that kind of sets me up to go a little wild. I have to be really fast so she doesn't have to help me later on and we can head home. And our weather just kept being insane. It kept raining us out and we couldn't do anything, and it was very frustrating. So it took us 3 days to do what we usually do in one. We even told the guy that we work for, super nice guy, he and his wife were fantastic. We were just like, don't even pay us, we just want to finish it, we owe you 4 hours, like, please just let us finish. And they were like, okay, so we just went and did that. And anyway, so I was looking at my leg today, and I have all of these teeny tiny bruises from getting hit with rocks and weeds in my leg. And then this, like, I have this bruise on my hand that's the size of maybe a penny, and I have no idea where I got it from. It's like the top of my hand over the bone that goes to my forefinger. Yeah. I have no idea. Literally just covered in these from weed whacking. I mean, I wear gloves and all kinds of stuff. Actually, it's hilarious. We always get told that we dress like train robbers for work. Because you have to be, you have to protect yourself from the sun and from the dust and from, getting whacked with rocks and weeds and whatnot. So we end up wearing bandanas over our mouths and noses. We have hoodies or jackets, our sun hats, and gloves. So yeah, we look wild. We look wild, but I still end up getting like super bruised sometimes. But I have very sensitive skin. I bruise very easily. So it's not a surprise. I feel like I needed to darken that up. It just kept lightening quite a bit. But I didn't actually have my black ink bottle because I started this. You saw at the beginning, we were sitting at my desk at home. And I was just like, yeah, I can't do this here. It's gonna be loud now, so I had to go elsewhere. But yeah, I didn't have my black ink. It was at home where I had started everything. I had just mixed some water and stuff, so I was just having to layer to actually get some darker tones. Otherwise, it just dried so light, and it was very frustrating. I was gonna keep saying frustrating. Everything was very frustrating. That orange is so beautiful. Like, it's so, so nice. I like it quite a bit. That's kind of the upside to inks, I think, is they just end up being so vibrant and saturated and just like, so nice. The yellow itself, too, whenever I started using it without diluting it as much, was very, very nice. I've used these inks for a long time. For Inktober specifically. I really, really like how they dry, and I like how they work with some water. And then obviously they're permanent, so, because it's India ink. Because I have a whole set of them. But yeah, they're really nice. I definitely recommend them. I think I'm getting really low on the black, and I'm getting pretty low on blue. Which I find funny because I have like, I really, really like brown ink. I don't know why, but I've always had this obsession with it. And I will mix it with different colors and things like that. And for some reason, I still have loads of brown. Maybe it is just because I mix it so much, but such a pretty color. It's really nice whenever you do something like kind of monochromatic or whatever, because yeah, the brown just looks very vintage. And I've read a lot of comics that had that kind of like coloring to them. Just a really nice defined ink, and then this really gorgeous brown tone splashed over the top, and I just think it's brilliant. I'd love to do something like that one of these days. But yeah, still a huge fan of ink wash, even though I was very, very sad, very down. So yeah, I took my colored pencils in and started pushing back where I went a little too close to the character. Tried to use the white gouache there on the left to fix that spot that was kind of bleeding in, but it wasn't perfect. It's fine. Can't make nice things all the time. Sometimes they're not even passable. Sometimes they're decent and you just have to see it later. Just is what it is. Although I'd really like to redo this one. I honestly considered redoing it and adding that to the video and just being like, yep, mistakes, whatever. But yeah, that was not gonna happen. That was not gonna happen. In fact, I got home right after filming this, feeling like absolute garbage pancakes, and I'm like, I have to make a new video. Like, there's just no way. And that's why I started filming with my phone, trying to figure something out and see how everything worked on it, even though the autofocus still drives me nutso. But then, as I was pulling this video from the SD cards and stuff, thinking about just deleting it and I don't know, being angry still, I just decided that it wasn't that bad. It wasn't great, but it wasn't that bad. And I would start editing it, and if I really hated it, I would figure something else out, even if I just had to make a quick something digital or whatever. And as I was editing it, I kind of let go a little bit, and it wasn't so bad. Yeah, I kind of failed at doing this. I really wanted it to look like it was burning his shirt, just burning through it. But also another spot where I ended up just getting the black kind of smushed in a little too close to the colors that I wanted, so I couldn't add the contrast and things that it needed. But it is what it is. There's the finished drawing. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you thought. Have a good day or night, and bye.